This one we're going to use the gradient feather tool in InDesign, which is this tool right here. This tool right here is how I can pull open a different way to just make the normal gradient tool to either make a radial or a linear blend. But this time I want to use this one here, which is called the gradient feather tool. So it's the second one of those two gradient tools in InDesign. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to say I don't know what color of type would work well on this entire background. Instead, I want to introduce some type of a rectangle down at the bottom. Obviously, I could do this with white, but in this case, I'm going to make it be some other color. I can go grab any of the rectangle tools, either the rectangle frame tool or just the plain old rectangle tool. They both do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle down here across the bottom. I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill it with this particular kind of rusty brown color. And that might be great. So the top part of my page now is going to end up looking like this. I think this bar is probably too big. Last thing you want to do on something like this is split the page in half by having it be half picture or half blend and then half this rectangle. So I'm going to maybe make it only about this big. But maybe for some reason, because I've got this blend here, I don't want to be have such a hard edge right here. So in this case, I can use this tool right here, the gradient feather tool. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start in on my rectangle and I'm going to start here at the top and I'm just going to pull up and I'm going to let go, and that's going to show where the transition between these things would be. If I don't like that, I can hit Command Z. If I start the tool just below the top and pull like that, well, it made it at an angle there because I didn't pull straight up. It could be showing something like that. Or again, if I started down in here and pulled further up like in this direction, I can keep experimenting until I see how much of a blend I want it to be. Maybe I like it to be really soft like this, but my problem is that now I cut way into the brown box. Well, I could easily just grab the top part of this box and I could pull up to be able to stretch that back out. So now it's pretty solid brown down here, and here's where the transition is. How that might work on top of a picture, it looks something like this. Done the same thing as I've started to kind of play around on this with some other tools. I drew myself a gray box down here. Same kind of thing. I come over in here and I grab the gradient feather tool. I start down here on the box and I pull up until I see what kind of a change I get. Now, the reason I'm seeing this weird line right here is because this is actually where the edge of the bottom of the picture is. So below the picture it was just white. So I'm actually seeing some of the white leak through. So on this one, I probably need to pull more likely in this direction so that I can see a better transition between the two. And if at any point you do that and you think, oh, this is kind of neat, and then you work on it after a while and you're like, I don't need that to be so blendy. I actually want a strong line in here. This is an effect. So I can go back and click on this, come up here to Object, go to the Effects palette where you normally are playing with drop shadows or glows or things like that. And here it's got the gradient feather checked. Go ahead and let go on it and just tell it to undo the checkbox here. Click to get rid of that, and it deletes whatever that was, and it goes back to just being the strong box. So that's one way that you can transition between whether it's a photograph and a color, or if it was just white and a color, or this blend and a color, to allow you to experiment with how much you're going to have that gradient interact with each other. Each time I was stopping it, I was just hitting Command Z to undo the last one. If I wanted to keep trying it 3 or 4 times until I think I get what I wanted it to look like.